Oh, I turn this chat thing off. Just hit the button again. Yep. Yo, I have become a technological wizard.
Well, we are live right now, so everybody knows you're a technical wizard right now. But hey, everybody, it's Alex Youngblood.
Lou Dana.
Lou Dana, yeah.
Yeah, Sonny, show your abs.
He's does he still have abs? I don't know.
Oh, I doubt it. Seriously doubt it. Yeah,
Oh, he challenged you. He's calling you out to the carpet.
No,
but anyway, guys, we're live. I've got Preston Ely with me here. If you are new to wholesaling, it's really potential that you might not know who this man sitting right next to me is. It's that's kind of a crazy thing, but definitely very true.
King of wholesaling.
The king of wholesaling. That's right.
From the next king, Rafael Vargas has officially taken my title.
You officially gave him the crown.
Well, he announced it before requesting permission via headline on one of his. But you know, I may have something to do with his existence online. You just never know.
You just may never know. So
I may have transitioned from king to kingmaker.
Kingmaker. Now that's pretty powerful, right there.
You know, it's like, where's Missy Elliott? Right?
She's here in Virginia Beach with me.
Where's P. Diddy? Where is who's the other guy? Timberlake, right?
Justin Timberlake.
No,
Timberlake.
The heavyset black dude that used to. Yeah, they're all behind the scenes now.
Yeah, right? That's right. The producers, right?
No, where did they go? All right, Missy Elliott disappeared. Yeah, right. She's conducting the orchestra.
The producers, right?
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. And as you guys are coming on, let us know what market you're in, where you're doing deals, all that good stuff. We're gonna get rolling with this thing as it starts to ramp up as we get more people on here. And guys, if you're on the wholesaling page, go ahead and hit the share button if you're able to share it. Get some more people active on here. We're gonna have a good time. This is Preston Ely, he just said he's no longer the king of wholesaling, but when I first got started, I remember reading his ebook, just getting started, which was from Real Freedom Inc., which was learntowholesale.com. And I think I actually have the original receipt. Like I printed out the receipt, like from when I bought the ebook.
You're one of those dudes. You have my poster hanging up somewhere in one of your Not really weird, dude.
No. It's because
that receipt. Did that have something to do with you getting into real estate or something, or what?
What's that?
Did that have something to do with you?
Yeah, dude. It absolutely did, right? So before then, I was looking at like Ron LeGrand stuff. I bought a Carlton Sheets course on eBay.
Yeah. Are you saying my name in the same list as Carlton Sheets and Ron LeGrand? Because
as I was getting started, yes.
That's pretty. I don't know.
Not to make you feel old. Not to make you feel older.
If you tried.
But yeah. So just getting started. What I would say from like reading your stuff was the mindset was the big thing. Like, there was one thing in there that was mindset that helped me make that little shift.
My first chapter was all about attitude and mindset, and that's awesome. That I didn't know that, so that's really cool, man.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like crazy how. So that would have been 2007, 2008.
Yes.
Yes. But that little ebook, and just that whole little I got that whole thing up and running in a few months.
That's amazing.
And it sold like 50,000 copies. So ebooks back then, they were $47 if you wanted an ebook, right? And now that stuff's just free. That's a blog post now, right?
Isn't that interesting how things change?
Yeah, and then it was $97 a month for that thing. But what was cool was that, and it did exactly what I intended it to do, because as I was looking around, and at that point in the game, we were the first people to launch a real estate product in the digital space, right? Actually, there was a digital space. It was called internet marketing. It was called, just so everybody knows, it was called internet marketing like 5 years ago. Okay, it's not that long, Ryan Knight, my friend of mine, invented that word for everyone, right? And so that's a cool thing now. But mission accomplished. I was looking around and I'm like, okay, because I've been doing real estate since 2004, and it was just going gangbusters, of course, right? And then 2007. I sold everything that I owned as far as real estate goes. It started getting harder, right? And what I've noticed is that the smart money, it always goes. It just naturally kind of gravitates towards the next thing, towards what's easiest, right? We don't want to fight against the current, right? And I'm not saying I'm smart money. I've made a lot of mistakes. But that's one thing that I've always been relatively good at is adaptation, which is one of the top necessary components for success. You got to be really fluid and okay with change, and just you can't let that stuff phase you, and you have to really keep your eyes open and just kind of go where things are going. And like Wayne Gretzky, I don't go where the puck is, I go where I think it's going to end up. And so it started getting hard. I'm like, you know what? There's got to be something else, right? And so I started teaching people what I did. But so when I was looking at what I saw was guys on stage selling 3 home study courses for $3,000. That's all there was. There was nothing else. There was maybe 2 or 3 guys online just with horrible websites that nobody knew how to do anything back then. It was like the wild west, literally. You just do whatever we wanted, right? And so I said, okay, nobody knows what they're doing. I know that everybody's about to get crushed, because this is not where things are headed, right? Because I was keeping my eye on the internet marketers, right? They were teaching marketing, Frank Kern, Ryan Dice, and getting to know those guys. So I said, you know what? And this is anybody listening, watching right now. This is huge, right? If you want to go into an industry and disrupt, it's so simple. Okay, you go in, and this is this is what makes competition in a free market, semi-free market, I would say. What makes it cool, right? And this is what keeps prices reasonable and keeps everybody on their toes, and really keeps things evolving and progressing, right? Is because you can come in and sell. This is just the way it works. And everything I go into, I think along the same lines. Well, how can I sell what they're selling, right? Because the odds are against you, right? You're just getting started. You don't really know what you're doing if you're doing it right. Because that means that you're, fire ready, aim. You just go, right? And then you learn, but you just undercut everyone right off the bat. That's what I did. I did it with that ebook. I said, you know what? I said, so wholesaling real estate is so simple. I mean, I was coming from the financial world, right? But even that is, it sounds complex, but it's not. It's taking money. It's just brokering. Everything's brokering. Everything's taking a commodity or a product at one price and marking it up to another price. That's what Walgreens does. That's what McDonald's does with hamburgers. That's the essence of business, right? Is having that profit margin. So as a broker, having banks that we're working with charging one rate, and people that want the money, on the other hand, who are willing to pay a higher rate. And then
Paper.
all we're doing is connecting people and taking what's in the middle. And so I'm looking at wholesaling. And when I got into real estate, I lucked into finding a great mentor. He was the biggest wholesaler in Tampa. He was doing 20 plus houses a month back when.
Was that KR?
Huh?
Was that KR?
No,
Kenny?
no, not Kenny Rushing. He was really big.
I saw him the other day.
He was probably as big as this guy. Now that I think about it, Kenny Rushing is a friend of mine. He had billboards all across town. He had commercials running. He had every bus bench in town. And that was interesting. But so I really, that was just, I kind of knew him a little bit, and I just hounded him until he let me, hang out with them and make him money. That's how you get mentors. You make them money. You figure out ways. How can I make this guy money? Right? Like right now, I'm trying to get Ed
adding value. Yeah.
I'm attempting to get. I've got billionaires to mentor me by offering to sell their stuff in a way that I knew they couldn't do. This one, my mentor Ed. Right, he's a billionaire. Like, how am I going to get this? He had certain. It wasn't just the money. He had certain things about him, and he's here local in Tampa. He's part of the DeBartolo Development Group, so he's actually a commercial real estate investor, the biggest. And they just liquidated $6 billion just as a side note. And they did the same thing in 2007. How am I going to, So I managed to get a meeting with them, and instantly I'm thinking and looking for ways. And the worst thing you could do, this is a rabbit trail. I realize that, but we'll come back to where we were. The worst thing you can do, and people used to do this to me all the time, right? Preston, how can I add value to your life, right? And I never knew what to do with that. I'm like, I don't know you. What do you mean? I don't know what you can do. I don't know who you are, and it's actually a little bit of an aggravated question, because then you're putting we as we go to mentor. If we do that, we're putting the onus, the pressure on them to think up, and they don't have time. They don't have the mental energy to do that. So that's like the worst thing you can do. So just as an example, I'm trying to get Ed Milet to mentor me right now.
I've heard that name before.
Ed Milet, he's probably the biggest, most fastest growing personal development.
Oh, that's okay. Got it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we got a lot of things in common. He's a Jesus dude. I'm a Jesus dude. He's just a really, really cool guy, and probably for him to mentor me, I don't know if that's exactly what I'm looking for specifically. There's just something about him, right? But I don't know him, so if I knew him, if I was in a circle that he was in, it may be different, but I don't. So what do I do? Well, I hear that he reads all his direct messages, right? That's what he says. I don't see how it's possible, but he said it, and so it must be true, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So I send him a message, and I send it as often as I need to. Actually, I've only sent it a couple times, because now I'm just going to do it, right? And that's taking things to a whole nother level. But man, you either want it or you don't. You will be amazed what you can get just by asking. But then you'll be even more amazed by doing what I'm doing, which is I'm just looking at what he's got going on in his life, and I'm like, okay, here, this is what I know I could do for this guy, right? I know for a fact. So in this situation, I'm looking at his websites, I'm looking at his free book offer, and I know that it sucks, right? Not the book, and I can just so you know that I'm not kidding you. This is his book right here, okay? So he sells this online, totally free, no upsells or anything like that. But still, I'm looking at it, I'm like, he could be selling 100 times more, right?
Yeah.
Well, so I just message him and say, listen, I want to redo your funnel, right? Now, I haven't heard back from him. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to rebuild his freaking funnel. I'm going to send him a link. And I'm going to say,
let's like bring this down. Like, so obviously, the people that are listening to this, they're people that are trying to get into wholesaling. They're already wholesaling, right? So let's reframe this around people that are looking for mentors per se in their local market, right?
Yeah.
And trying to add value. So like Preston, what he's trying to do is to work with one of the biggest personal development type people. And so he's trying to add value and rebuild his funnel.
Let me bring it down a notch. When I got my mentor for real estate, okay?
Yes,
the original for wholesaling, okay? He's the biggest wholesaler in Tampa. So I was in a little bit less enlightened state than I am right now. We're always growing at that point in time.
Absolutely.
I knew so much. But I knew enough, and it's not just about knowing, it's about growing, right? I was big enough in my spirit, and my soul, and my mind to attract somebody like that, right? Because it's not enough to get these people's attention. You have to win their hearts, right? And so these rich dudes that you need to hook up with, and they're mostly rich, right? That's not the only thing we care about them, but
and they know what they're doing.
Man, well, it's just that they know instantly, right? They know you may not be rich, but they know a star when they see one. I'm not a billionaire, right? But I actually, now that I've attracted a billionaire, now I know I'm going to be one, right? And as a matter of fact, somebody just told me today, which I find this so interesting, right? Because nothing happens on accident. Everything is on purpose, right? There is no accidents. I'm not here talking to you by some accident, right? History is moving forward on purpose. Everything is working together, as Ed Milet would say, for our good, for a reason.
Right.
And so I just don't believe in stuff that
random chance.
Yeah, that's right. Everything means something to me, and it's never let me down, right? So just earlier, an hour ago, I walked downstairs and my wife's friend's there, and she starts laughing. She's like, "That's awesome." I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Axe Capital." And so I don't know what this is.
I was wondering what that was. It looks cool.
Well, somebody sent it to me. So she said Axe Capital. That's the finance company that the dude owns in Billionaire. The show on HBO. You familiar with that?
I'm not actually.
Or no, is it Billionaire or Billions? One of the two. It's like one of the top shows. So I'm not a TV watcher. So
yeah, me neither.
Hence me not knowing what this is.
Me neither.
But I do know that show exists, and most of the people watching know that show exists. It's a really popular HBO series, right? I don't personally like it, but I get it, right? And so she said, "Axe Capital." It's from the show Billions, right? And I'm like, well, somebody just sent this to me in the mail, and I have no idea who sent it to me. And that happens to me all the time. There was no anything. My wife just threw it to me and said, I don't know what this is. And I thought it looked cool, so I wear it, right?
There you go. It looks cool, man. It matches the red tat.
Here's the point. The point is, some mystery person sent me a Billions t-shirt. That was further confirmation to me that I'm going to be a billionaire. I know in my heart that I'm going to be a billionaire, right? I'm not even chasing it. And that's the God's honest truth. I'm not.
Yeah.
All I'm chasing is I've been watching so many like Ed Milet podcasts lately. I'll like binge on certain things. I'll binge certain authors. I'll binge on. I've really never been into podcasts all that much, but somebody told me about him. I started watching him. He has this really cool thing that he says about he's chasing he's chasing the real him, right? And that resonated with me because I'm a big believer in that, right? Where what we see happening right now, it's real, but it's not the realest thing, right? We have spirits, souls that are real things. It's not like this abstract concept that most people have in their head. Oh, sure, there's a spirit world. Oh, sure, I have a spirit or a heart or but it's a fairy tale in reality as far as their experience goes. It's in their head, it's not in their heart. Well, the reality is that there's no like smoky, ethereal, like cloudy spiritual world, right? Where angels are on harps sitting on clouds. It's more like the Matrix, much more like. That's much closer to the truth than anything you could possibly imagine. What we experience here in life, this is the smokescreen, right? It's real, but compared to the desert of the real, as Morpheus, called it on in the Matrix. If you haven't seen the Matrix, see the Matrix, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's a cool movie. I mean, what's funny is like how nothing's new, right? So, for instance, that whole kind of Matrix kind of thought comes a lot from a lot of
that's right.
I guess you would say Platonian philosophy, which
there's a lot in there.
This whole life is essentially a reflection of something else, basically.
That's right. Or a shadow.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a Platonian kind of.
Yeah. And that's actually all biblical. It's straight from a book that people call the Bible. That's actually a collection of manuscripts that we have more of from antiquity than any other book in the world.
That's pretty amazing to think about that, right?
Homer. So if you think about what we study Homer in school, we study it. We have 8,000 copies. That's it, right? That's the best we got. And we have like 25,000 copies, like original, like ancient copies, parchment scrolls, however they freaking do it, of the Bible. So what we're talking about right now is a biblical concept, and I'll just bring this full circle with the fact that the real you, that spirit, that soul, which is actually what we're developing along the course of our lives. Okay, to say that we're like rewiring our brain or doing anything with circuitry in our brain or training our nervous system to do, that's all superficial stuff, right? You focus on all that stuff, it's just not nonsense. You got to go deep, right? You got to go, if you're not feeling pain, like heart pain, soul pain, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Good, these things that we're living for, the good life, quote unquote. Thing against Ty Lopez. I was just hanging out with him not too long ago. He's a cool guy. But this goes deeper, man. It goes so much deeper, and you address that. You put your focus on that, on the real you, on who created this universe, this world that we experience, and then the real world, which is fundamental even to that, right? And even science is coming to this conclusion that there's like, you get to the heart of matter, you dig deep enough, you're going to, this all has to do with wholesaling, right? Because you know what? Here's the bottom line. This as well as anybody, right? And this goes back to what you were saying about the thing that set me apart was that first chapter about mindset and, working on your character, your attitude, your so on and so forth. You take that first chapter out of that book, okay? And the huge stack of testimonials that I have just from that book, right? Same amount as if I would have given them a $3,000 home study course, right? Which that was my goal in the first place, was to take these huge courses for wholesaling. Can you imagine a course this big? I'm flipping a freaking contract, dude. Why is it that big? It's not big for $3,000.
Yeah,
it's that big, right? And then you got somebody that buys it, they can't freaking understand any of it, so they pay the guy another 20 grand, right? I have a solution for $20,000 coaching right now. I'm going to disrupt that market. Try $9. How does that sound? This next crash, that's all you're going to see.
Yeah.
It's all the last crash. We saw $3,000 courses and gurus on stage disappear. This next crash, you are going to see all the high ticket gurus,
which now is like 5,000,
20,000. Oh, 2,000, 1,000.
Let me say something here really interesting, right? So like where we
$9 a month. That's it.
where you started with the $97 ebook, or $47, then you upped it to 97, I think, but the 47 to 97, right around there, that's where like coaching started. And then it moved, you had like a $2,500 one-on-one course, mentoring, and then you bumped that up to like at least 5,000 at one point.
That wasn't coaching though. That was doing deals together. That was the deal that I was doing back then, and that's what hooked everybody. And that's the way you got to think if you want to get into something new. Is how do I give like 10 times the value that these top guys are doing, but charge way less. So let's say you want to get into wholesaling, okay? Well, you can be pretty sure that the wholesalers in your area are charging. What would you say is the average wholesale?
So they're all over the place. I mean, I have a accelerator program. We charge $5,000 for people who want group and handheld style.
I'm talking about actual wholesale. So a wholesale fee. We're talking somewhere from $5 to $20.
Oh, yeah. We just did one for $47,000 last week.
Okay, so let's say I'm getting into wholesaling and I'm in your city. And I've got all this. Now, me personally, at this stage in the I would not do that, right? But if I don't know anything about it, and I just read, I mean, that book that I used to charge $50 for is free online right now. If you let me see, it's had a lot of names since then.
Which one?
If you go to the Flip Your Way to Financial Freedom that you have. Oh. Bro, we sold we sold that as a free book on the radio.
You sold it on Amazon too, right? The no BS flipping or something.
On Amazon. It's called No BS Real Estate Investing.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, guys, look for it on Amazon.
If you go and read that book, it won't be as easy as when I wrote it, but it will work and you'll get a deal and it's free. There's really no excuse. But if you have heavy, so right now in the market with real estate, what I do know is that there's a ton of competition, like more than we've ever seen.
Strangling.
I was drumming up real estate leads. I've been doing it. Like I never totally. I mean, I took a break from it, but who doesn't do that, right? Like nobody does the same thing for not even 10 years anymore, right? But I kind of kept my finger on the pulse of it, and just not too long ago, I was drumming up real estate leads on the radio. I was running radio ads here in Tampa. I buy houses.
How long ago did you do this?
Yeah, this is like a month ago, not a couple months.
Really?
Yeah, but I was sending all the leads over to Raphael's floor, right? So,
not a bad idea.
I take half, and they do all the
You're the lead aggregator. Nice.
Yeah, and that's the sort of stuff that you can evolve to. I think one of the things. Well, so just to wrap that up, you're getting in the industry. People are getting $20,000 sign fees, $10,000 sign fees. Dude, charge $2,000. Right? Have the cheapest deals around and undercut everyone. Right? Pay more, offer more. So let's say Alex is giving a $45,000 assignment fee and ripping off some old lady probably.
Oh,
so who goes for a $45,000 assignment fee when they sit down and see the HUD and okay, what is this 45? What's sketchy as heck, bro? I'm not gonna lie. No, I'm trying to think. The biggest wholesaling fee we got was like just straight up assignment fee.
So So I bought and resold that deal for that amount, right? You're talking about an actual assignment fee straight up.
I didn't close. $90,000.
90.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never put up a dime, no repairs, never saw the house. Just put it under contract on email and forwarded it to someone else.
And who did you rip off for that one? An old lady, an old man?
Just a deal somebody brought me.
I think dude. If it's the one I remember, that was a Pete the Ninja.
Right.
I remember,
bro. You have a really good memory, dude.
That was a subdivision deal, dude. Right? It was a development deal,
dude. Bro, you know more about that deal than I do. You probably know more about that book I wrote than I do. I haven't read it just last weekend like you have. It's been a few years.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I read this stuff and internalized it and studied it.
This is it right here. This is one of four different titles.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
the newer version.
One of four different titles that it's had over the years. I've repurposed it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yes.
Literally a few months, not just to write this book. The book took like a few days.
And for guys that are listening, right, and this is something I picked up from you, and it was implementing so fast. Like, so the whole Probates by Preston that you did, right? That was something that you did.
That was the first course to ever launch. I had no idea what I was doing. I went to a mastermind where they said, okay, everybody, what are you going to do in the next 30 days? And if you don't do it, what are you going to give us? And we're going to have a follow-up call in 30 days. People were throwing car keys in, huge checks. I put a check in of some amount. And I'm like, I'm going to launch this home study course that I've had the content for. I recorded, dude, they were audio recordings. This is still how it's sold to this.
Yeah.
In 10 years, everything still works. It's a telemarketing, bro. It's a recording of a telemarketing with JP Morgan.
Yeah, I remember. I was on the original call. There you go again.
I freaking recorded it. I sent it off to a packaging company to package it up physically. I took the transcripts of it, gave it to not the transcripts, the audio, gave it to a transcriber. Took that, gave it to some girl who could turn stuff into workbooks, and gave it to this.com to fulfill it. And if that sounds easy, it's because it was precisely that easy, right? Yeah. In my mind, it was like this big deal, and I'd been procrastinating it, right? So this is the value of masterminds and getting together with other people that will like push you to do stuff that you wouldn't normally do, and then they'll hold you accountable, right? There was no question I was going to do exactly what I did. And not only that, I had to have a membership site up that was attached to it within 30 days and launch it.
Yeah.
And I did, and it was sold out in 2 hours. And that was the birth of real estate investing in marketing. That really was. That was
what we're doing right here. People would pay $97 a month for this right here.
Oh, there was nothing like this for free.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
All free now.
What we're doing right now, this is specifically what was in my continuity.
Yeah.
Like you're doing right now, and that's an example of where the industry's headed and of where the world is headed. Information is going to be free. People are going to have to get really, really creative.
So for people that are listening from a wholesale standpoint, again, if you are trying to get into this business, like Preston had all these different details, all these different things, and it's like, oh man, should I sit down and how do I transcribe this and all this? It wasn't, how do I get this done? It's like, who can get it done for me, right? And then implementing it as fast as possible, just like with marketing, and you're trying to get in front of sellers or whatever it is. Ask who can do it for you, not how can I figure out all this myself, So that's something that you guys need to internalize. Who can get this done for me rather than trying to figure it out yourself? Like a lot of people, right now, cold calling is a big thing.
Yeah.
And people are like trying to figure it out, and they're trying to get good at selling stuff on the phone and or talking to sellers on the phone. And it's like they get bogged down in the details.
Yeah, stuff like that. Just don't read books on stuff like that. Don't just do it. Pick up the phone and start talking to people.
Yeah.
I started that financial brokerage, and I was there for 10 years while my friends were going to college and then going in and out of jobs twice a year, right? I was just steady with that financial brokerage from the age of 19 to 29. And I just picked up the phone and started calling people. And keep in mind, these were businesses. This was actually commercial financing. So I was calling businesses. I'm 19 years old. I was like partying. I was a total idiot. But that's what's the opposite of liability? That's actually
an asset.
Yeah, it's an asset. That's exactly the opposite of liability. Do you see what I'm working with here? I don't even know. But I do know enough to just freaking go out there and do stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can't imagine how many successful people that I've asked, what's the secret?
So
Just do it.
So
That's
one of your biggest,
on numerous different people is just do it. And let me just wrap up one other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
That is this, that all this work that I'm telling everyone that they need to do, this inner work of developing character, and I actually wrote a 400-page book about this and never published it.
Wow.
And whoever wants it can have it. I'll send you a link to it. It's called Wake Up Wealthy, and it's not like the course that we rebranded Wake Up Wealthy. It's something totally different. It's like there's honestly no fluff. It's 400 pages of straight up do this. It's almost too much, right? That's why I haven't published it yet, because my editor at Penguin was like, it's just too much.
Did you just give the link to it, or you just said?
Well, I will.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of people that are gonna see it.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
You're good with that.
I would love for that to become like some sort of like cult underground.
Well,
right? That'd be cool. It's super funny, man. It's hilarious. As a matter of fact, I'm as we've talked about, I'm reinventing myself. I've had a period of a few years. I retired in 2012. I had a automated machine that was paying me $2 million a year. And I didn't have to do anything, and I just went on kind of like a soul search, not a soul searching thing. I knew, no, I didn't know who I was. I thought I did. Everybody thinks they know who they are until the pain comes, until things stop working, and then you realize that it's just not as simple, and it never is. Just the second you think you got life or God figured out, it's just, if you're a truth seeker, if you're a real warrior in life, which there's no more like fierce battle, there's no harder, like, Hell Week in the Navy SEALs for your soul. That's how I would put it, right? This
is incredible, right? Because you just told me that you had a machine that was making you $2 million a year,
right,
but yet you were still in a mental and soul anguish. Is that right?
Well, I've always been somewhat of a tortured soul, but that's another price to pay for me.
That's another call.
dedicated to truth, right? King Solomon.
People think money is the answer. Money is like, oh, if I could just get money, then I would be free.
They've done studies that anything over $60,000 a year, and keep in mind that's median income for the United States, and that's living like a king compared to the rest of the world, right? Wow. Anything over $60,000 means nothing in regards to happiness. So what that basically means is anything above having, as Paul said, with clothing and food and shelter, we will be content.
Right. Anything
above that, it supplements, it facilitates your happiness precisely zero. So the money thing, that's not about happiness. Well, I mean, so if money is your goal, you're not really going to ever be satisfied, and you're not going to ever be content, and you're going to die early, and that's a fact. Because wealth makes itself like wings, and it just takes off, right? Once you think you have it, you don't. And even if you have a hold of it, you're expending so much. If that's your goal, keep in mind. For me, I'm going to be a billionaire, but that's going to be a byproduct of fulfilling my mission. I just have that sense, right? And if I didn't have that sense, I wouldn't care, right? I'm here to succeed. And for me, success is being who I was born to be. And I think my belief is that's what success means, period. I believe that everybody is here for a purpose. I believe that we existed before this world, if nothing else, than in the mind of God. I believe that we were sent here to accomplish certain things, to be a certain person. That's like what Ed Milet says. That person that he doesn't use this word, but that's pretty much what it is. When he arrives in the next life, when we wake up from this and we start regretting things, he doesn't want to regret things. when he meets his little doppelganger, well, that's what he's hoping it will be, right? The him that he was born to be and that he had the potential to be, right? When he stands before the throne of the creator, the designer of this, we're full of DNA. Who wrote that freaking code, man? Who wrote that code? So when we stand before that dude who wrote the code,
ultimate coder.
Man, people have dug to the essence of matter. Some people say they found nothing, potential, energy, and I kind of tend to go with those guys. Some people say they found binary code, zeros and ones, and this is way too deep for this call.
We're going to go down a big rabbit hole now.
But he says he wants to see that guy and he wants to be that guy, right? He wants that to be his doppelganger, right? His identical twin. And that's totally true, man. And so when you're doing that, when that's the focus of what you're doing, which is and I'm speaking humanly speaking here, because this goes a lot deeper. This goes a lot deeper than just living to max yourself out. Right? Living to reach your fullest potential. Even that is kind of like a secondary thing, right? So, and I'm not going to get into what, because then you have to move from that into the why, right? Why are you doing that? Right? Because if the why is, well, if I do that, then I'm going to be rich. You're going to have problems just as much as the dude who's, you may be one step evolved from the dude who's just strictly counting money and stacking money and just money, freaking, I mean, I want a helicopter and a Bugatti, the same as anybody else, right? Don't get me wrong, but I don't want it that bad, right? I'm not like living for that stuff. I'm not competing with anyone. I'm not competing with anyone. I'm kind of competing with myself a little bit, but that's not competition. I'm kind of a perfectionist, and that makes you a little bit miserable. But really, so let's not talk about that anymore. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about the fact that if you live life the way I think that you should live it, and keep in mind, I do not do this perfectly. So far from it, bro. You cannot imagine. I mean, part of this past few years that I've had to go through has been, me making a lot of mistakes as a leader, as a father, as a husband, as a human being, as a man. Man, I've just really, to be honest, I've slipped a lot.
You all do, man.
I'm having to get back up and do the same thing everybody else has to do. Like I think one of the things that really is a disservice, and I'm guilty of this, was a real disservice to people out there who are trying to make their way in this world and are listening to all these success gurus, just they're looking for mentors. They're looking for the fathers that they never had. A majority of people. The community that they never had, the mentors that everybody, we're supposed to grow up in community, right? That's they did studies to see why this one particular, they've done this in a couple different areas of the world where everybody's healthy and live to like freaking whatever's the max of 5 cycles of 25 years each, the maximum our cells can regenerate. They were maxing it out. They were maxing out, as that says. They were eating terrible. They were not living. They weren't exercising. They had community. That was it. They had community. They had connection. And when you have connection, that's what love is, and everything is love. That's why we're here, is to love. And love is connection. If you're not connected, like I personally have a really hard time doing, it's just not healthy. It's not, it's not good. But if you, remind me what the heck I'm talking about.
So you were talking about making mistakes, and it seemed like you've come to a point where you're realizing that, and you're trying.
Yeah, the disservice that everybody does. And
yeah,
I did this. So I was like, the worst is, I think that some people, I think the trend is slowly kind of changing. And I know I'm definitely there, and I'm going to be part of it, which is just this trend towards authenticity, right? and just really being open and like millennials are the biggest emerging market that the world's ever seen, right? It's bigger than it's bigger than the baby boomers.
It's interesting you talk about millennials. That's where all the churches are marketing to millennials, because it's like you said, it's a big.
That's all ridiculous. I'm going to set up a worldwide network of home churches which I think is where things are going, and it's what everybody needs, right? That's how this whole thing started in the first place. These big mega churches, I don't get it. I get it.
But yeah, you were talking the millennials as a big.
Yeah, they don't want to go to church, man. They want authenticity. They want connection. They want
authenticity, right?
Yeah, they want to meet up with people at their houses and just chill and not have that religious, just all the
formalities.
Yeah, it's out of line with reality, and they know it, right? Millennials, in my opinion, right? The media is trying to put a very different spin on millennials. And that's not for no reason. Millennials are not going along with the system. They're not buying it. They don't believe the news. They don't believe the government. They don't believe the funds that will fund 401ks that the millennials don't want. They don't believe the stock market. They're the smartest, most informed generation that this world's ever seen. So what does the media do? Well, they spin it. Millennials are lazy. They have no purpose. They have no. I have not experienced that. My experience has been that like. I have a hard time, like, they're just so smart. They're very rational. They're very, they border on stoicism more than anything else. They're very rational and logical. They want to get right to the point. They're just so smart, man.
So are you trying to reach out?
The fake stuff, right? They're not buying the stories. They're not buying the hype. Right, when I started getting active again, right, I had this machine going, but as I'm trying to, okay, what do I do now? It was a slow decline as I'm trying different things, and for the first time in my life, things aren't working. Right, that 400-page book didn't work. It's one of the first things that ever didn't work. Right, I bought a fantasy sports company and it didn't work. I mean, we exited it, but we didn't make any money.
Right.
So
I mean, and this is coming off the heels of success with all your real estate, with the coaching and everything, which elevated into Freedom Soft, right? And all of that.
A software company. We did the biggest launch in internet marketing history. Our real estate business, I outsourced that. I had a real estate business up and running on its own with me. Pete the Ninja was running that.
I saw him the other day, actually.
When you're in Tampa, I should have got together with you.
You should have, man. Come on,
bro. I'm having a hard time. I know you have like 17 kids, but I don't have the skills that you have. Yeah, that may as well be 40 as far as I'm concerned. I got 2. And that's it. I'm a eunuch.
Dude, it's a lot of work, man.
I was
there myself.
I went to a eunuch. Do you know what a eunuch is?
Yes, I do.
I've been eunuchicized. I'm just kidding. But I would if I could figure that out.
Well, dude, there is a way.
It's really hard, man. Here's
it's all good, man.
Here's my point is this.
Is that what your market? Is that what you're trying to reach out to?
For my ultimate purpose in life will be to help, to assist millennials along in their journey. Yeah, I want to reach out to 1 billion of them. So the biggest disservice that people could do right now, and just don't buy it, right? Don't buy it. And instinctively, most people don't anymore. But that's in their head and their hearts. They do buy it, right? And that's the storyline. That's kind of like nothing against them, but Brendan Burchard is like the best example I can think of.
I've been reading through his book actually.
It starts with a story, right? This terrible story. So Brendan Burchard, and I'm not talking against him. He's a great. I've never met him, but I've heard he's a great guy. He's super smart. He's like,
great books.
This is just an example. he gets in a car accident. He's standing on top of the hood. It's a great story. I mean, with the illustration, you just can't get it out of your head. He's standing on the hood of his car. He's dripping with blood, and he's saying, "What if I had just died? I never loved. I never did. I never. He goes on this list, and now, bam, he's Brendan Burchard, right? Well, I don't know him, and I don't know whether that's true or not. But I can tell you this: it will be an anomaly, right? Um, um, the path of success, the path of greatness, the path of, success is a pretty good word because that's just what everybody's shooting for, financial, spiritual, relational, physical success. You want to be healthy in your body, and you want to have a 6-pack or a 12-pack like Ludena. Can we post those pictures here, Jen? Can we post those pictures of Ludena? No? Okay, look for it. Let me know. I got it. I've got the pics. Me and Ludena, we have ab-offs.
I love Dave Ludena.
We have pop-offs. We have ab-offs.
You have ab-offs, huh?
That is not life, right? That is not life. Life is not this one difficult time, which everybody can relate to. That's why that story is told, right? And I'm telling you that I've done this so many times that I'm guilty, just like anyone else. It took me a while to realize, okay, this is not the way to help people, right? Because it's all it's going to do, since it's not in line with reality. This tough obstacle that you overcome, and then is he showing you his abs?
No, but there he is. He says, "Hey, kid."
Yeah. Show me the abs.
That's funny.
This is the way it goes, right? It's this tough life that everybody can resonate with, right? So everybody can relate to it, and then if by the grace of God you manage to beat the odds, and that is what you're doing, right? If you bust out of the system and you manage to get your own thing going in a healthy, holistic manner. So the storyline is, that's it. You've done it. You've overcome this thing, and now it's just success. And here's what you do to facilitate it, and so on and so forth. And dude, it caught me by surprise, because of all people, I've read, I don't know how many books. I'm not going to say numbers like some people say, but just countless books, countless mentors. Everything the books say to do, and even the Bible. I read the Bible for, I don't know how many hundreds of times, memorized whole books of it. You mark off all the things, giving and charity and going down to third world countries and memorizing positive things and constantly running positive thoughts through my head, surrounding myself with great people, self-sacrifice, pain is a friend of mine. I've it's trendy now, this whole pain thing, right? This whole grind and so on and so forth. Totally out of balance. The message is totally out of balance. Take the 4-hour work week and take the grind, the hustle, the nonstop Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk. While you're sleeping, I'm grinding. While you're having sex, I'm making money. When you're doing all the different things that's needed to sustain human life in a healthy, balanced way, they're grinding. Okay, good for you. Wow. Why, man?
Yeah, so, it's a little crazy.
Life is all about balance. That's it always comes down to that. And so when you see extremists, you can just know that that's not right, because that doesn't line up with reality. Just with this analogy, you've got the 4-hour work week, which you should read if you haven't read. Surprising number of people haven't read that.
For those of you listening, comment if you've read the 4-hour work week or not. It's from Tim Ferriss, and it's probably from, I don't know, 5-6 years ago or something.
Yeah, so you've got that. Celsius, healthiest energy drink Well, it's the only healthy energy drink. And
Is it caffeinated or is it just straight up branched chain aminos?
200 milligrams of all the like best kinds of caffeine. This is the equivalent of drinking 1.5 monsters, which is 2 servings. Nobody gets that.
Wow.
When they tell you the sugar per serving, that's not the whole can. It's not 50 grams of sugar. It's like 120, right? That's why they're so bad. Not the caffeine. Caffeine's not bad for you as long as you got the heart for it. So, quick story. I'm doing some marketing work with Kevin Harrington.
Oh, cool.
With this, Angel Investors Network. And he bought into this for like 4 cents or something ridiculous. And now it's like $7 or
that's
whatever.
the way to go, man.
Yeah. And so that's a good example. And if I would have been around, now I'm around for a lot of these deals that come through. But if I would have been around then, I could have got in on that deal. And that's another thing. And I know I'm going through a lot of stuff right now, but we only have a certain amount of time. That's one thing a lot of people don't get is, life is so much bigger than real estate. Okay. Like it may seem like that's like this ultimate, like, oh my gosh, if I could just be successful in real estate. And you have this, what's normally an illusion that's where you'll stop. But I mean, I don't, very few people who achieve success in real estate stay there. Right. What is Alex doing right now? He's not just doing real estate.
No.
Me personally, I own gyms. I do different stuff. Real estate's like, for a lot of people, it's like a stepping stool.
That's
like
the word. Yeah.
And then like, a lot of people, their thinking is so small that, if I'm not personally active in real estate at any point in time, oh, you have no business teaching people. Well, why is that? Just is Tony Dungy, is he playing for the freaking, whatever, what is Larry Bird playing for the, all right, I don't know much about sports. I'm just going to, I don't know who they coach, but are they playing for that team? No. They have the experience. They know how the game works, and they can coach those guys better than anybody. So I don't buy that whole thing about, oh, you're not.
Let me ask you this. You were talking about Brendan Burchard, right? And talking about Brendan Burchard and his story. And I've actually been reading through.
Go ahead.
I've been reading through High Performance Habits, which is a great book, by the way. And, he talked about his story about how he was trying to go from just fiddling around, trying to figure things out, to becoming who Brendan Burchard is now with books and all that kind of stuff. And he talks about his 5 big blocks, the 5 big things to go through that to get there, right? And then part of that was also figuring out what his, what was that word? It was your recurring prolific activity or something like that. What is your main recurring, prolific activity you're going to do over and over and over again to get you to that point?
Great word.
What's that?
Could we call it a habit?
It is a habit, yeah. So what would you say, like for you right now, you may not be in the nitty gritty doing deals and stuff like that, but what is that prolific activity that you do or looking to do to accomplish you're trying to reinvent yourself, like you said? What would you say that is?
So like right now, so right now, not everybody can relate to this, but there are a good amount of people out there that have experienced this. I've been like, pretty much anything I do online right now is on Instagram. I just started Instagram.
They can follow you where on Instagram, by the way?
Just at Preston Ely. So I think I started like a month ago on Instagram. I'm just not into social media except for just like I'm not actively, I'll post something on Facebook and I really could care less that nobody's reading it, right?
Instagram is where it's at right now, I hear.
Yeah, my wife kept pushing me to get on Instagram, and finally I'm like, okay, whatever, fine, I'll do it. But it's actually pretty fun. So I've been pretty candid about where I'm at and what I'm going through, and a surprising number of people big names, even, whatever, if that's the way you want to look at it, people that have big followings, friends of mine, it's been like surprising who has hit me and said, not hit me physically, DMing me. Is it called DMing?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
They're DMing me. And Preston, I've gone through the same thing, or I'm going through the same thing, or and I'll get on the phone with them and have this huge conversation, and it's a surprisingly large number of them. And basically, what I've been going through, there's a couple different rabbit trails and circles we need to close up. It's sidetracking me, but what I've been going through is a genuine midlife identity crisis.
Really?
Oh yeah, but it doesn't mean what people think it means.
You're gonna go out and buy a Corvette.
Yeah, yes, it's always the Corvette, isn't it? Always the Corvette. Nobody knows where they heard that. But everybody knows it's the Corvette and the blonde, right? It's the Corvette, the 5 o'clock shadow, and the blonde. That's so. So whenever something is like super true, right? The world hates truth. We live in a totally false,
abstract,
fake. It's just, well, that's part of it, yeah. But people are living in lies, right? That's why people are psychologically struggling, and the anxiety and the depression is because lies cause you living out of alignment with reality, with what really is. Which all that means is if you do this stuff that's true, that really is the way that this world functions, it's like if the ocean's coming in and you're like, no, screw it, the ocean's going out. I mean, it's going the other way. That's in, well,
yes.
That's fine. You're free to believe that.
As a perspective.
But you're going to die. Look, go get a surfboard and just go with the flow, right? Go with the flow, but it's very insidious because you can't see the flow. You can't see the way. All right, it's hidden, right? So I say the word "right" a lot. My wife let me know I need to stop doing that.
That's all right.
Yeah. So let me wrap up 2 rabbit little open loops I've got going here, so I can have
close the loops.
I'm closing them right now. This whole heart building thing, this whole building character, and everything that's the essence of this book that you can give out to your people whenever you want. When you meet that billionaire, right? When you meet that real estate mentor that I first met, and to close that loop, I made myself useful to him. That's how I got a real estate mentor. I didn't, actually I did offer to pay him at first, but he was really graceful with me. And he said, just show up and let's see what happens. But I immediately just started selling his houses for him. I just thought it through. I'm like, okay, how can I make myself useful? I'm like, well, besides being useful, I thought I'd just ask them. I'm like, dude, you're charging $30,000 for this house. And it just made sense to me. I'm like, if I go out and I find someone to pay you $40,000, can I have that 10 grand? Yeah. I'm like, how hard can this be? Right. I went out and I had been going to a RIA. I'm pretty sure this is how I did one of my first ones. And I just emailed the president of the RIA, right? I'm like, hey, do you want this deal? No, it was a different one. How do you know so much about Tampa? Do you live here? You don't live here. Tampa's like the hub, isn't it? Dude,
that was the era when all this started. Mike Collins, Chris Chico, all that.
Yeah, I think it's because there's so much. Florida got hit so hard with that bubble, right? And then the fallout, and everybody just online, and that was the rise of the guru, right?
Pitch free seminar, all that stuff, man.
Yeah. So when you meet these mentors, like I met him, and like I met Ed, you may not be where they're at, okay? But there's 2 things. Number 1, make yourself useful. But number 2, if you haven't done all that work, okay, that I'm talking about, if you haven't paid your dues internally and physically, right? Because it's all connected. Everything's connected. What you do in one area affects every other dimension of life. Um, um, you know, and I'm saying this in the middle of still a pretty challenging time for me. I'm not like totally out of it. Things are still pretty tough. I've let myself slip in a number of different ways. Ludana, I'm going to be honest with you, Ludana. I've lost a few of my ad lines.
Oh no!
I have. All of them, pretty much. But when I'm getting myself up just like anybody else and pick up pieces and keep it moving. But we can get into that later. The biggest thing when you meet these mentors, and you're not going anywhere without mentors. Bottom line, right? And it's not going to be these guys you call on the phone for 20 grand. You know, it's just not. You know, that's well, actually, I'm fractional CMO for a big real estate company. Now I just remembered that it's not that it doesn't work. Okay, it works, but you know,
David Ludina says he has the fix.
Yeah. So do I. It's just a matter of actually
doing it, right? We all know it. We just got to do it.
It's a big part of why I've been put here, right? Nothing happens on accident. Remember? So hold on. I'm closing this loop. These billionaires, these mentors, these guys that you're going to need, right? There's no success without them, except for a very rare few people that I've ever mentioned. But those guys, when the market crashed, they're gone. Okay. I would try to get them to read books. I would try to get them to do this and do that. I don't need that. I'm rich. Okay. Well, you're not anymore. You know, because everything, it's all who you are. That's everything, you know, when who you are is this glorious, you know, regardless of imperfections, everybody has imperfections, but it's just like this energy that comes from becoming, from allowing, you know, we're all connected to God, whether we want to recognize it or not. And it's just a matter of if we're going to let that light out and through us and become like conscious of it and part of it or not. So you could have flaws, right? But if you're connected to the source of the source of energy, the source of everything that we're a part of, that energy is just going to come through you, you know? So one of the keys, the number one thing you could ever do in life is ask yourself the question, how the heck did I get here? Right? Who am I? Where did this world come from? I mean, just think about it, right? If you're going through all these courses about, oh, this is how, you know, success works, right? Okay, great. But why would you do that and not go a step right below that and figure out how life, actual real life exists, how that works, right? How did things come into being? Who are you? How did you get here? Where are you going? All that stuff's foundational. You get that taken care of, and then all these other things, like C.S. Lewis says, if you shoot for primary things, the most important things, secondary things get thrown in with it. It's one of my favorite quotes ever because it's just so true, you know. And even Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God, and all, which is the primary thing. And all these things will be added to you, you know. Yeah. So for me, that's the ultimate secret to life. But when these mentors, when you meet them, the biggest thing is they know stars when they see them and they feel it. They can just look at you and know almost instantly. Especially my mentor, who's a billionaire, he used to be counterintelligence. So they're really good at knowing who people are, right? Reading people, you know.
It factor.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. So when I showed up in his office from a cold call saying, I just need 15 minutes of your time, and then I'm there an hour later, right? And we get to the end of the conversation, and he says, this is incredible, right? That's what you have to cultivate, and you get it by reading books. You get it by not going straight to the billionaire. You get it by going to the 1 millionaire, and then you go to the 10 million, the decamillionaire, and then the centimillionaire. And you just work. Not that it's all about money, but as far as finances are go, right? I have spiritual mentors. I have my nutritional mentor, has 4 PhDs in health related fields. He's the youngest person to ever speak at Harvard, and that's one of my personal rules. Whatever I want to grow in or learn, I want to learn from the very best, and I mean the very best. I personally consider my financial mentor, and he's actually a spiritual and all around just father figure, mentor, secondary father. I have a primary father who brought me into this world. But I consider him to be one of the greatest men that's walking the face of this earth right now. But so think about it. I'm like, these guys are like okaying me, so they're keeping me in their life, despite the fact that, the fact that I have this mentor lets me know that I'm, just like I said, that I'm going to be a billionaire, because I've never had a mentor that I didn't surpass. Not one. I probably won't surpass the dude with 4 PhDs, but that's only because I don't have time. Okay. And this isn't bragging. This is just how I personally choose to operate. And not even that, man. Like, okay, I've surpassed my mentors. That wasn't a goal. That wasn't a goal I had. That's just what happened. Why? Because I'm more dedicated to truth, and I'm more dedicated to what's real. I'm more dedicated. And so because of that, I can withstand the pain that most people are running from. Pain to me is a signal that I'm on track. Even these past few years, whereas most people would have just been, it was so hard. I just got crushed, man. All the ego and bravado and all that stuff just got. Not all of it. I see everybody deals with pride. Everybody.
What?
But just the energy that facilitates that ego, that false self, that self that wants to feed you that lie that success is this one sob story, and then you're headed to heaven, right? As far as everything is concerned, your health will always be. Now there's a gradual path up, right? In every way, if you're fighting the good fight, right? But life does not go linearly. Life goes supernaturally, ultimately, but it goes cyclically. Is that a word?
Sure.
It goes cyclically.
So right? Are you basically saying
like this? It goes, if here's the end goal and here's where we're starting at rock bottom, which is where I started. I started, before I had before I had the thoughts, even the concept or the desire to like wake up and say, man, I should probably do something with my life besides party.
Right.
I was rock solidly melded into the rock of the bottom. Right? Just you name it, I was going through it and I was addicted to it, and I was just, it was a really bad situation. But so that was so I had a defining moment, just like everybody does, right? Anybody who's achieved success and now they're telling us about it, okay? And they're trying to bring us there with them. But here's the problem, is that that's it. That's the story. It stops there. Right. And so then when you start out on this journey and you face, so life doesn't go linearly, it goes cyclically. Right. And so the cycle starts small, and then they get bigger, and then they get bigger, and then they get so big that you don't even know you're in one. And that's what I just went through. Okay. And that's like,
that's powerful right there.
It's hard to really.
You don't even know the cycle that you're in.
So big, the cycle, it's gotten so, and this I'm a pattern recognizer, right? So I immediately, this is true financially. Okay, you'll get money and waste it, but then you get a little bit better at it. But the wasting gets bigger, and you'll go through these. You'll have influxes of cash that come. It's nature, man. Nature is cyclical. The waves come in, the waves go out. The waves are bigger during storms. You got to keep an eye on these waves that are coming in life. You don't just go do things well, not all the now. Well, some people are storm chasers, right? They're just, those are the adventurers in life.
I mean,
right?
even real estate goes in waves, right? The
Exactly.
7 year,
It does.
the 7 year cycle,
Well, that too.
supposedly.
I think we're about to come to the end of cycles pretty soon here. Um, get ready. That's all I'll say about that. Get ready. This next one's going to be pretty tough.
So let me ask you this:
in cycles like this, and nobody is teaching that.
what were the warning signs that you were in your cycle, or what would you say? How would you identify I'm at this point in my cycle?
Being stuck, being discontent. Those are two of the biggest things. I mean, I think there's even a quote that I memorized from James L. Tucher that being stuck is a huge sign that it's time to change, right? And well, how do we change? Where does change come from? Change comes from pain. That's it. If we don't get pain, we're not changing. You
got to work out till it hurts.
And Anthony Robbins would say it's pleasure and desire. I don't think so, man. Like, I think pleasure may kind of like give you that hope, it's kind of, and it's not even pleasure, right? It's mainly pain. Pain is like God's cattle prod. Pain is a director. If you have a good relationship with pain and you kind of see its purpose in life, then when it happens and you experience it, it's not such a big deal, right? Like even these past few years, it took a minute for me to recognize what was going on. But then once I recognized it, admittedly, it was pretty daunting, even just having been aware and awake during these cycles that I've gone through, right? And there's cycles of pain and death and rebirth, and these moments of respite that we get in life, which honestly everybody's living for that moment of respite, right? And everybody thinks that that's what all of life should be. And then if they get this, they pay their one little due and go on this little success journey that the gurus are talking about, they're standing on top of the car bleeding and the whole story. That's it, right? That's not it. That's the most minor thing you're going to experience, and to some degree. I mean, that's going to be that's going to be rough, but it's just things in life are either growing or dying. In reality, they're doing both, right? But you can, if you fight against it, if you're not aware of what's going on, if you don't have a good relationship with pain, if you don't, in my opinion, ultimately know who's causing these cycles and believe that there's a force of good that's behind it all, and in all actuality, to me it's a good sign that I'm going through these cycles. If I wasn't, I'd be worried. Really.
You know what I tell people is that, a lot of people are not content where they're at, and they may not be, according to themselves, successful, right? But I try to tell people that you need to be content where you are right now as you sit.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, when it comes time, if you do get successful, right, you're still not going to be content with that. And
right.
The pressure becomes worse as you become more successful. Would you say that's true?
Of course. Yeah, but it's also, so that's one thing that keeps people from even trying, right? Is they instinctively know that with Sigmund Freud said, he said lots of stuff, but
yeah,
he said something about the fact that the fear of responsibility, the fear of responsibility, basically the fear of responsibility keeps a lot of people from even getting on that journey, right? And this was me at first. I remember just being in the 9 to 5 that just, I knew that I was doing nothing, I was making $100,000 a year. And my fear was that I would ever lose that. I'm like, what would I ever do if I lost my job? That would strike fear in my heart, right?
Yeah.
And then when I would think about, well, maybe I should be doing something greater. Maybe I should be owning my own business, or, it was the fear of responsibility, Oh my gosh, if I would have to, like, what would I even do? I'd have to do my own taxes. I'd have to all the stuff that we make up in our head that's not true.
Yeah.
Taxes, you give them to a bookkeeper. Everything that you have in your head that you wouldn't be good at, or that you can't do, or because of this, or because of that. First of all, it's not true. But second of all, just know in your head, you give it to somebody else. That's it. You have somebody else do it. I do very little.
Ask who, not how, right?
Very little. I'm all day long at this point just directing the orchestra, right? I'm behind the scenes, and I'm just like, listen, if you did this, this would be a good idea. And here, you handle this, and you handle that, and that's one thing that everybody can look forward to, is that it doesn't stop at real estate, right? So don't let real estate seem like this big thing, because in reality, if you're right here and you're just getting into this game, there's just knowing that there's this much bigger game up here waiting for you makes this seem really small. And I get how it can seem really big, but it's not, man. It's a lot simpler than, if you haven't made it yet, it's a lot simpler than you would like to think. But just to wrap this up,
yeah,
then this part of it, these cycles, if you don't know about them, then you're going to be seriously disillusioned when they occur, right? And then especially when you've got all these guys telling the success story. I used to be like this, but then I X, and now I Y, right?
Yeah, that's the formula.
And that's the end. That's the end of the story. And so when you set on your journey, and then you have some success, but then it's, to you, it seems like you're going like this. To you, it seems like that. But that's not true. What you're doing is you're coming around like this to cycle back up right here, but you have to pay your dues all over again.
Oh,
you have to, whenever you want to graduate, you want to keep going on to bigger things, which who doesn't? Let me tell you this, when you get that $100,000 in the bank right now, right? Which should be everybody's goal. If you don't have it already, it shouldn't be to invest in real estate. It's ridiculous. You need 6 months expenses, or I would just like to call it $100,000. Get $100,000 in your bank account, just sitting there. And in my opinion, take it out of the bank in cash and put it under your mattress. Your name will go on the list, and they'll know who you are, be watching you, but still, $1 million in my vault at home, gold, silver, cash. And that's not all, of course, but I lost it all, dude. And I'm having to climb. Yeah, that's exactly it, man. And you know what? If you have some great grand vision for your life that God put in you, which I do, it's so big, it's just ridiculous, man. I want to save 1 billion souls. I want $1 billion company. This was really encouraging that I got this shirt.
Yes.
God knows we need that, and He gives us so it's, I don't believe in synchronicity, right? Or I do, but I just believe that there's a synchronizer. Okay, if there's synchronicity, that logically necessitates a synchronizer, right? Where there's music, that necessitates a musician,
right?
DNA coding necessitates that there be a coder, right? And it's my belief that you get in line with that dude, right? I shouldn't say it so flippantly, but you get in line with him with that, and then everything else just kind of falls into place. You get your coding, you get recoded. You actually get brand new code. That's a bad analogy, because there's actual DNA, and that DNA is not going anywhere. Besides epigenetics,
oh no,
we won't get into that. You can change the things a little bit. Don't buy the whole thing of I'm just genetically, my family's been genetically, so scientific. Right. I have to be big boned, or scientifically, there's certain things that can't be overcome genetically speaking. It's not true.
So you basically, what you've been saying is that as you're trying to reinvent yourself, you're trying to not disillusion people with like, well, you just need to go from X, do this, and now you're Y, and end the game, and that's it, story over. You want to help people get from that point of where they're at, right, to understand the cycle, or to understand what they need to do to stay on top, essentially. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, it's just I
or just live a more meaningful life at that point.
that too. I mean, I've always wanted that for people, and I've always taught that. And there's been a huge element of truth in anything I've ever done. It's not like I've ever set out to be something or to be something I'm not, or to. I mean, in a sense, there's that sense that you kind of got to fake it till you make it. And there's, you can knock that all you want, but it's called faith. That's what it's called. It's called faith to a certain degree. You take it too far, you're a con artist. Right?
Right.
People who are saying, "Oh, fake it till you make it." That's not true. That's deceitful. That's not. Okay, that's an extremist. Okay, and then you got the people who are
balance.
Just, like borrowing 3-piece suits and like literally saying they're something, or maybe they have a license that they don't have, or you got con artists on the other side of that pendulum. So you want to stay, and salesmen especially really dance on that line of con artistry, which sounds extreme, but it's true. If you study con artistry, you'll realize and you have to be a good salesman to make it in real estate. I was 10 years on the phone cold calling, right? So that made it a lot easier to get into real estate.
Talking to people and relating people in a genuine way. But well, I would say we're getting close to 3:30 here. So what I would say, guys, if anybody have any questions for Preston, go ahead and post them in the comments below. We'll see if we can address it. Dave says faith it till you make it. That's cool. I like that. He's gonna write it down.
All right, new Dana. That's going on my clothing line. Thank you, buddy.
He's putting that in the clothing line. He said.
Are you serious?
First of all, that's the hashtag, right?
First of all, Ludana, you got that from somebody. There is no way you just came up with that, man.
Is that original, David?
Just go ahead and tell us in the comment where you learned that from.
Yes, where did you get that? So Matt's asking any books that you recommend.
There's the classics, which everybody already knows about. So I recommend reading The Deeper Intelligence. I'm going to tell you the top 5 books that nobody's read. The Deeper Intelligence by Andrew Hodges. Yeah. I read that 3 times. The Deeper Intelligence, Radical Honesty by I'm actually rereading it for
Radical Honesty.
Yeah, by Brandon Blanton. He argues that lying is the root of all disease and all psychological malfunction. He says that everybody he's a psychologist, and so everybody that comes into his office, it is his job to bring them out of the world of ideas and to experience actual life, which is the problem most people have. They're all living in their heads, and they're all living in these abstract concepts. They don't see a tree; they see a label. That's the word tree.
That's that right? Platonian Socrates type stuff.
They don't ever just go climb that freaking thing like they did when they were a kid and really experience that tree, right? And that's just like a surface level example. That if you live in that world of abstract concepts, first of all, your faith will become that, right? Most people who call themselves Christians, it's like a fairy tale. That's something I've realized that's like super scary, man. You can be thinking that you're a believer, thinking that you're good, and in reality.
So that was 2 books.
Yeah. Let's see. What's An Interview Across Time?
Interview Across Time. Yeah. I'm typing these, by the way.
The Forgotten Way.
The Forgotten Way.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to get the author of that book to mentor me. Actually, Ted Decker. He's the most popular nonfiction writer in a certain genre. And then the next one would be all time.
It's got to be a good one. It's the 5th.
Yeah, it has to be. I would say
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
You know what? Like if somebody didn't read that, that's that fear that I had of owning my own business. That book is responsible for that. That book is responsible. Think about how huge that is.
Oh, okay. We'll put it down.
That's like the biggest. Well, so you've got the Rich Dad Poor Dad, the Mind of the Million, the Millionaire. What's the
The 4 quadrants and all that, or
yeah.
what T. Harv Eker, the mind.
Yeah.
Mind.
That was huge, making the transition.
David says probates by Preston.
That's big. That's a big one right there. You really got to dive deep into that one. You probably wake up wealthy, I would say.
Well, you got to give me that link, man, for this 400-page download you're talking about.
Let me see. If I click off your face, will I not get to see your face anymore?
Oh, that would be sad.
Let's see. I may actually have it right here. Let's see.
Anybody else have some questions for Preston here?
You can you hit me up on my Instagram. I'll because I do have to go here in a minute, but I'll be happy to help anybody with anything they want.
Yeah, check out Preston at Preston Ely. Oh, I think you just did click off my face. We may have lost Preston. We'll see if he comes back. Kenny says, I've been reading Waking Up by Sam Harris, and it's really good. Brandon Simmons. There he is. He's back.
I knew that was going to happen.
You hit the button. You broke it.
I knew your face was going to disappear. Okay, so if I hit this orange thing, it'll send it to everybody?
I think so, yeah. If you're in the comments.
There you go. That's the book.
Where did you put it?
I put it in the team chat.
In the team chat?
That's what it says. Chat with your guests.
Oh.
I clicked the little orange button in the bottom left. Where am I supposed to put it? Have you ever been interviewed on one of these things?
Me?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't think so.
Me neither. But all I know is there's only one chat thing, and I just put the link in there. But, I'm sure these rabid fans of yours,
rabid.
You can just post it in your.
Yeah,
you can post it in your Facebook.
If you text it or email to me, I'll put it in there for sure. So,
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's really cool to chat with you. It's been a while since we've actually talked.
I'll tell you this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What were you saying?
No, go ahead. I'm just saying. I think the last time we talked was like. You may have, I don't know. You may have interviewed me on your coaching thing.
Yeah, we've done a lot together, and some things I don't even know. Real estate mogul, which is still around.
No, Freedom Soft. This group right here, Wholesaling House is full time. All I had was this group, and I think I made like $50,000 in commissions off Freedom Soft when you originally launched it. Yes.
Yeah, that is crazy. Those were the days, man. I'll tell you what. Can you imagine what's coming?
Huh?
Can you just imagine what's coming? If that was just a taste, if that was just a warm up, if that was just preparation, which I know it was. If everything that you've seen so far and that I've experienced, if that was just testing and preparation and for the big show. Right? If that was just practice, can you imagine what we're about to do? I want to change the world, man. Anybody here is welcome to join me. My world for now. I'm rebranding. I'm putting up my new site, but it's not up yet at PrestonEly.com. So I never really do much communicating there. I don't think anybody really communicates with people on the blogs, do they? Like Instagram.com.
Instagram, man. Right now, Instagram's taken over Facebook.
At PrestonEly.com. And tomorrow I'll probably do a post with my abs just so Ludena can really get a checkup from the ab up, right?
Oh, I thought you said, though, you had no more abs.
Well, it's going to be not current. I'll just admit it. But it's going, I've been considering
I'm back. I don't know if you're gone though, but hey, we've been on for, wow, an hour and a half. That's one of the longest interviews we've ever done on here. So I do not know if you're coming back, Preston, but thanks for the interview, for the really good deep thoughts. And if you guys want to check Preston out, check him out at Preston Ely on his Instagram as well. And I'm sure he'll get us that link. And David's saying we lost. Let me see if I could text him and get him back on here real quick. We'll see what happens here. Oh, there he is.
Dude.
Can you hear me?
Hello, little princess. Everybody on camera here, my abs.
You're not going to show your abs.
I gotta do a before pic. This is
oh my goodness.
This is for, because I need everybody here. I need everybody here to keep me. Oh, my wife just said I'm not allowed to do it. Sorry.
Oh wow, she kept you grounded.
You know, when you gotta get kids through private school and stuff, they just really keep a tabs on the parents on social media, which, you know what?
That's good.
That is what it is. What else do you want to talk about, dude? I thought we were done.
We're done now. Let me I'll end the broadcast here, but we can't just sign off by falling off. Just say thank you, Preston, for being here, and appreciate everybody's comments and everything. Go check Preston out at Preston Ely. And
yeah, I thought that the app had like shut us down for going way too long.
Yeah, I have the premium version, so there's no limit. But we'll see you guys later.
But hey, let me just tell everybody this: Alex is one of the few people out there that you know, that I would personally listen to if I was doing what you guys are doing. You know, I like to learn from. So it's like why I'm drawn to Ed Milet. You know, is because he's a man of integrity, and you know, I trust him. You can just tell. You know, you can tell even just online. I don't need to see much to know who you are. You know, there's certain names I could name right now that you would just be like, yep, nope, no way, right? And you can just tell Alex is a good dude, man, and he's not going to steer you wrong. And if you do what he says, you know, you're going to get rich. That's just right.
It's not all about the money, though, right? Just like you said, it's all about buying your time back. It's all about the freedom, lifestyle design.
Man, it's first of all about however much you're supposed to have, you know, but you don't know that until you go out there and you mix it up. And let me just tell you a few things that I've learned right before we hang up. Save your money.
Yes.
Save your freaking money.
Should I go out and buy a Lamborghini for $350,000 just because I can?
Not just because you can. Well, I mean, you know, it's all relative, you know.
No, I agree, man. Save your money. Absolutely.
Save your money. And man, you know, so I had like an extreme abundance mentality. So what does that tell you already based on our conversation? I was out of line with reality. I was out of whack, right? So my basic theology, and I taught this. I like people paid to hear me say these words. What is it that you want? Just go get it. You know, just go lease it. Just go get a loan for it and get it. And then your subconscious will begin telling you that this is what you're supposed to have. And the money will just fall from the ceiling, right? You know, as long as you're still doing the work and this, that, and I literally believe that I would fly private when I had no business flying private. Nobody has any business flying private. If you are not clearing $10 million a year personally, there's just no way to just justify it. You know, and there's exceptions to the rule, but I would just say in general, you know, and man, inflation is so out of control, so much higher than most people think it is. Government figures are way off. It's not cheap to live right now. Now more than ever, you know, man, every time I go to the grocery store, I could just be getting a bag of nuts and a case of water. It's like $100 for some reason, right? Like when do you go to the grocery and it's less than $100? If you all walk out with like 4 bags and you know, it's like $200, and I'll think to myself, or with health insurance, you know, like I have the bigger.
This is funny, man. This is like completely different than like how I grew up or you know, developed in this following you.
Yeah,
this is a whole different line of talk.
I know. I owe the world a new personal development course. I owe the world a new red pill, you know, 7.0, and it's coming. You know, there's a new name for it, and I got the whole thing planned. But you know, there's a piece of what I used to say that's definitely true, and then there's just another side to everything, and there's a balance, and you know, what are you gonna do? You know, it's like Tony Robbins. I was listening to one of his like biggest Getting the Edge, right? And he apologized to everybody on this course, and he said, listen, I'm going to apologize to you guys because I used to teach you to eat fruit all the time. He said, well, that's wrong, right? In reality, so if you read Steve Jobs' bio, he was a fruitarian. Well, look where that got him, right? He died younger than he should have. You don't want to eat one piece of fruit a day, right? It's
too much sugar, man.
That's nature's dessert. One a day, one piece of fruit a day is good. He was teaching people to eat all the buckets of fruit, right? And so, you know, he said what's really the truth, you know, is that he was teaching people the best that he could, you know, the best that he knew. And when you think about it, even if you have 4 PhDs, right, does that mean you're going to be right every time? No. And so if you know that you're a human, because I used to struggle with this, I'm like, I have no business teaching anybody anything, you know. I don't care how many books I've read. I'm constantly learning new things and realizing that what I thought was true is not true, right? But so then you have to come with a balance to that, because so a lot of people right now are writing gurus off, quote unquote, you know, teachers, instructors. They're writing them off completely because there's so many of them. Right? Am I right? Like I have friends that are just like, they would never consider teaching what they know because it's put such a bad taste in their mouth. Well, I get it, but you're an extremist. My friend, you've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. And I'll tell you what, there is no higher form of intelligence than being able to filter information. There's no higher form of intelligence than being able. There's a way to phrase this that's like technically, grammatically correct, logically correct, but basically, in essence, this book that I just told you to get, Radical Honesty, and I'm just reading through it for like the 3rd time right now. I can tell you right now that 35% of it is absolute insanity. It is, you know, so maybe I shouldn't be telling people to read this. I know that I'm an exception to the rule, because most people are going to read this book and they're going, the majority of people, let me see, that could be correct. This would only be a certain type of person that would read this book and think I'm out of my mind, right? That what the heck is Preston talking about, right? Well, Preston has the ability to not be so closed-minded that if somebody says one wrong thing, or even 35% wrong things, that I'm just not reading that book, because that person is officially this type of person, right? This person is new age, and so I don't follow New Agers, right? Well, you know what? Maybe like they know stuff that you don't know, right? Like I'm not a New Ager, but they have more of a grasp on reality than most Christians I know. You know, in a certain way, right? There's pieces of truth everywhere, and you're not going to find that dude who is 100% true. And even if you did, how do you know?
Somebody just said this is the best live ever.
Yeah, you know, says who? You find something 100% true, says who? Who says that? You? Who are you? Right?
Yeah.
You know, who knows? You know, but so that's just that concept right there. What is truth and how do you get to it? That's what fuels me, because the more that you can expose yourself to, the more, and the more you can genuinely say you're a truth seeker, which a lot of people say that, and that's not true. They're looking for truth that'll back up what they think is true already, right? Um, I'm looking for the truth, right? I'm reading a book like this where this dude really is a little bit crazy. But he says stuff in here that's like some of the truest stuff I've ever heard that I've never read anywhere else in my life, right? So, but you have to develop the ability to sift through information, and even if you hate that person, okay, even if you can't stand anything about it, okay. So, for instance, who's the dude that wrote the book? I hope they serve beer in hell, or whatever it is. Who's the humor writer dude?
I don't know who that is.
You're a little bit. I just realized you're a little bit sheltered, aren't you?
I am.
Dude,
Dude, I grew up super sheltered.
Yeah, I know. I know several people who are like pop culture ignorance, right? And that's not a bad word, right? That's just they're not. They haven't exposed themselves to pop culture. And you know what? They're some of the smartest freaking people I know, right? Because it's all garbage. Yeah, being able to. Oh, what's that guy's name though? Dude, the humor writer.
You're talking like Jeff Foxworthy?
Tucker Max. Dude, you may need to actually come a little bit more to the middle. Because you got to be able to relate to people, bro. And they're saturated in pop culture.
All right. If everybody that's still listening, have you heard of who he just said?
What did we say?
What was the name?
Tucker Max. Everybody in your list right here knows who he is.
Tucker Max. Anybody else heard of Tucker Max?
Okay. So I started reading his book, and it's so offensive, it's like ridiculous, right? Or there's another book similar to it called Asshole, which just the title itself is offensive, right? But somebody told me to read it because it was hilarious. I read the whole book, right? And I didn't buy it all. I didn't believe it all. I didn't agree with it all. But I learned humor from him. Okay? From Eckhart Tolle, you know, if you were to read the Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, if you were to read that and believe every word he says, you would have a very uncomfortable time in eternity, my personal opinion, okay? But I learned from him to be present. And he was just basically teaching biblical concepts, right? Don't be anxious for tomorrow, right? Do not be anxious tomorrow, for tomorrow will care about its own things. Sufficient for the day is its own stuff. You know, be anxious for nothing. Fear not. Jesus said, fear not. The Bible says fear not. Like how many, you know, something like 500 times or 800 times. And what are we all doing? Fear is at the root of every negative emotion there is. So you don't fear, but
that's the psychological problem everybody fights with every day.
Yeah, that's one thing that I pretty much like almost totally got rid of is fear. You know, you go through enough stuff that you know, I'm sure there's some situation like if we were surrounded by, you know, by aliens and even that, dude, like I pictured the mothership landing in my front yard, and I'm pretty sure I'll just go get on the thing and be like, okay, what's really going on? I would just run up inside. What's really going on, man?
Wow.
What have you guys been doing? Um, uh, yeah, that's it. So let's probably actually end this.
Yeah, it's this has been good though. You are officially the longest live I've done with this program here. You win. Oh no.
Hold on, well, man, I wish I could send you guys stuff through this chat because I would send you the funniest freaking thing. Lou Dana would just spend the next 3 weeks just
Well, if you want, just go if it's appropriate. You just go on afterwards and post it on the post itself if you're so inclined.
Post it. Oh, I definitely will do that. So send me a link and let me know when that's up. Hey, I love you guys. And I don't know most of you, and it doesn't matter because we're all connected. And you know, and so we should all be able to say that we love everybody, just without having met, man. Materialistic, scientifically speaking, all matter, and this is a scientific fact, there is no such thing as separation. It doesn't exist. Everything is connected. When you dig down to the root of matter, there's nothing there but energy. And so what does that mean? That means that everything we can see is in some sense not really real.
Oh boy.
But to the degree that it is real, it's all connected. Right?
Yeah.
We are all living on this big ball that's floating through space. And not only is the ball, all this ball of energy with everybody on it, all just melded together. I've experienced it. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm a mystic, like a real one. And that's nothing to brag about. There's just some people are some things and other people are other things. I'm a mystic, right? Which just means that I'm interested in stuff like what I'm talking about right now.
Sure.
I've experienced the other side. I've experienced oneness. I've experienced God. I'm like trying the best that I can to even shift my consciousness to who I truly am. This deeper intelligence that you'll read about in The Deeper Intelligence, the book that I just told you to read. We
got that posted there.
Yeah, man. So we're all, man, one love, right? That's not just a cliche. There's one love. There's one world, and there's one love. And man, you know, I used to be so conceited. I used to be so arrogant. I still struggle with it, but at least I see it now. At least a lot of it's been hammered out of me. There's like nobody's better than anybody else. You know,
we all put our pants on the same way.
Brendan Burchard is no better than you. You know, you're reading this book right now. You know, like
we all have the same opportunity. That's the great thing about it, you know.
Yeah, and we don't need to be anybody else. You know, we don't need that guy that we're learning from or whoever's podcasted. We don't, and I struggle with this, right? At least I used to. I don't think I do so much anymore. I'm like, man, I need to be. You know, how will I ever be like Tim Ferriss, right? Because he does this, and this. Well, freaking, I'm not. You know, I don't need to. You know, we're all just be you. Try to figure that out, and that's it. And that you win the game if you can figure that out, and you can connect to that and operate out of that authentic you. And then so personal growth, you're already complete. You're already good. So long as you've really, and I'm just going to be straight up honest with you guys. Jesus Christ was a historical figure. You can study it all you want, and you can read the Zeitgeist or Zeitgeist or whatever that documentary is on YouTube, and you can say that he didn't exist like that documentary says. But okay, you officially learned that from YouTube. Okay, he was a historical figure. He's a regular human being like you and us, except for he was God. He died. When he died, all of our egos, all of our, what the New Agers would call egos, false selves, the dark shadow self, that part of you that is messed up. That part of you that feels that rage. That part of you that deep down you were living, and you were living in Nazi Germany in the 1940s, 19 whatever it was, I forget. You would have been right there with everybody else. There's nothing that separates us from the worst evil in the world. All that evil, when Jesus died, was placed on him, and when he died, it all died with him. And you only get in life what you believe. And so you could say that's not true all you want, right? But what would happen if you did believe it? Well, if you did believe it, then what's really real, which this is my personal belief and it's my personal experience. Once I truly understood what happened, that all that stuff that I do, all that hatred that I have, all that envy that I have, all that resentment, all that bitterness, all that depression, all that, all that discontent, all that junk, man, I was a liar. A lot of people are living lies and they just won't even let themselves see it. They won't, they're so deceived that they just can't even let themselves, and that's the way that a lot of the world operates. They've lied to themselves so many times. Read the book, this is the 5th book, The Psychology of Deceit, Vital Lies. That's the best book. That's the best book that what's his name? Daniel Goleman. Yeah, there it is. That's the best book Daniel Goleman ever read that nobody's ever wrote that nobody's ever read. Vital Lies, the psychology of self-deceit.
Vital Lies.
Yeah, the psychology of self-deceit. So that dude, he's not speaking from a spiritual sense or stance. He's just talking about freaking psychological science, right? Just how deceived we all are and why we deceive ourselves, because we can only allow ourselves to pay attention to so many stressful things, right? Because it will just kill us. The anxiety, where our attention, we will block things that are real out of our focus. We won't even allow it in, because subconsciously we know that will take us. We all have a level of anxiety that we can bear, right? And so if we're trying to live a certain life, it'd be because we want certain things, and something that's actually bumps up against that is saying, no, that's actually not the way the world works, right? Well, if we have too much anxiety already from all the other lies we're believing, we're just going to block that out. But it's subconscious. You don't know you're doing it. That's the thing. That's what nobody gets, is that you're living a lie, but you don't know it. Think about that. That's the matrix.
Yeah.
That's the freaking matrix. What you think is real is not real. Think about it. And if it was, how would you know?
So you're saying perception is not reality?
Jesus was the truth, the way, and the life. That's why when you believe that what I just said is true, that he was the Son of God, and that he took all the sin, all the weight, all the evil, all that stuff I just talked about, right? Everything that the New Agers are trying to own away, right? And they're trying to, they're trying to meditate their way out of evil, okay? Which is all these the monkey mind, that cute little monkey mind, that has people running around doing serial murders and stuff like that. That dang monkey mind. Right, that envies and hates and wants what other people has, and isn't that what envy is? Okay,
envy,
that's what leads to genocide. Okay, well, you need a little bit more meditation to get rid of that. You need a savior. I needed a savior. Once I did accept him, as my savior for who he really is, and go study it. Where's his body? It doesn't exist. It's gone. How's that possible? How's that possible? It was only 2,000 years ago. We have people way back, Confucius, Buddha. We know where all their bones are. Where is he? He's not here.
That's pretty powerful.
He rose from the dead.
That's what last Sunday was, right?
If you go, I'm not a religious man. I didn't even go to church on Easter, to be honest with you, because I just don't buy it. I don't buy the way that the world has. That's not the date Jesus was risen from the dead, or anywhere close to when he was crucified. So who says I got to celebrate Easter? Man, I'm unplugged. Okay, I have a relationship with God, and I'm walking as close to the truth as I possibly can. And nobody's going to tell me when I have to go to any sort of building or do anything like that. Besides the truth, besides God Himself, besides what I believe is the truth, which is in the Bible. And you know what? The Bible is the best-selling book in all of history. Why haven't you read it? Why haven't you read it? It's the best-selling book in all of history. How do you not read that book? Think about it. Think and Grow Rich. You have to read Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. That's like, that book is so lame. Okay. and you ask anybody, what's your number one book that you got to read? Think and Grow Rich. Come on, man. Best-selling book of all time. And you have my promise that you read it through. You're not going to read it through one time and not believe that Jesus is the Son of God, that he was and that he still is. And for me, when I chose to believe that, and I got that relief from all that guilt and from all that, and realized, wait a minute, I'm actually good. It's not just that I was magically saved. I was already saved. It's just I didn't believe it. You can't have what you don't believe. That's why he who believes in me will be saved. That's why it works. It's already been done. He already died. He already took you with him. You're dead. You just don't know it. That's a fact.
Yeah.
In The Sixth Sense, how did Bruce Willis know he was dead? He didn't.
Not until it was pointed out to him.
You don't. We're all dead in sin and just, I'm going to leave it at that. But that's the ultimate, what happened for me, when I was 21 years old, is I had an encounter with God. And you know what? That's like the best, Jesus, God didn't create this world and Jesus didn't die so you could have a good life. I hate to break it to you, Joel Osteen. But there's something bigger going on. There's a bigger reason why this world is.
That definitely sells, doesn't it?
There's a bigger, there's more important things in life than your comfort, like almost everything.
The best is yet to come.
Yeah.
It's going to happen sooner than you believe.
Yeah, that's so true. Elevate your thinking, man. Elevate your thinking, and then watch what happens. You elevate your thinking way beyond, what you're going to learn. Where I even have articles at success.com. Got a lot of articles published there. There's something deeper, and you get in touch with that, everything else will fall in line. That's what happened for me. I was a shell of a man. I was empty. I was just a wreck, man. I was mean. I was angry. I was a thief. I was, and when I say thief, I would like it, and maybe some people can't relate to this, but that's just who, everybody's got their things, and some things I tend to be an extremist, right? That's I err on the side of extreme, stuff. If I want to learn something new, I read 100 books, right? I just go until I learn it, and then I click back down.
It's all or nothing.
That's exactly right. And so that works out well for me sometimes. And then sometimes it doesn't, right? That same energy that'll get you where you need to go can also get you where you don't need to go, right? So yeah, I was just a rotten dude, man. And dude, it was like magic. I mean, I was brought to my knees by my own personal crucifixion. And, I just got down on my knees and said, God, I remembered that story from Sunday school. Everybody knows it. Jesus was crucified, dead, buried, rose again. That's what Easter's all about, that we just celebrated. And he's now alive and well, just like logically he would have to be when you really think about it. If all of this material world is connected, then you can easily extrapolate that out into the spiritual world. Right? And so that would mean the spiritual and material are all connected. And then that would mean that everything's connected to God. And God has always existed, which means we've always existed, which means when Jesus died, we died. And when he rose, we rose. And if you believe that, you get to live. And if you don't believe it, you get to die. My personal opinion. It's worked out well for me.
That's interesting. I mean, we could probably talk about that forever, but on the whole pre-existence side of it, that's a whole nother kind of thought. But
yeah, it's biblical. In the book of Ephesians, couple different. I can't totally prove it, but I think it's pretty logical.
But man, I appreciate you being so real here. I mean, this is refreshing to see just
Yeah,
real thought.
man, I got nothing to lose. I don't care. You know, I do care, actually. That's why I just gave you and your family here
2 hours, bro.
This is for me too. This is great, man. I had a great time doing this. You're
good, man.
You're the third interview I've ever given in my life. That's how much I didn't really genuinely care about people. I said I did, you know. I acted like I did. I may have thought I did, and I did to some degree, but nothing like right now, you know. Yeah, it's just you just gotta.
Well, people are giving you love right now, so that's good.
This world's so hard, dude. This world's so hard to make it through this world, man. That like, you know, everything I've done up to this point, it's been pushing so hard, you know, because I felt like if you don't do that, there's no way to make it, you know. And worldly speaking, humanly speaking, that's true. That's the world system. I no longer live by that system, and I'm doing better than I've ever done. I'm fractional CMO with large amounts of equity and profit sharing in numerous different companies. Opportunities are flowing towards me left and right, and I am hustling, but not hurrying.
Hey, that's good right there. That's a hashtag, brother. Hustling, but not hurrying.
Don't steal it, Dana. And where is it?
Faith it until you make it.
No, I know he didn't. There's no way he did that. I'm stealing that for real. That's definitely going on a t-shirt.
Well, again, man, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and it's been great.
Shoot me a link, and I'll shoot everybody my abs.
Oh, I thought you were going to say your book, but I guess
that too. My abs and my book. I'm messing with you guys. I'll see you later, man.
All right, take care.
Bye.